The roles of a sports psychologist. So firstly, what is psychology? So a sports psychologist will need to know the theories of how a performer behaves behind actions they make. They use a range of techniques, which will help a sports psychologist identify an athlete's strengths and weaknesses. Once they have found out the information, they will need to then work on improving the athlete's performance through applying skills, which are like the research roles, the education roles, and consultancy role. So as you can see here, this is an example of a sports psychologist who is successful. His name is Terry Orlick. He has a PhD from the University of Albert. So he worked alongside many Olympic athletes and at a high level of profession. He tried to challenge the athletes to bring the best out of themselves. Also, he started a website called the Zone of Excellence, which helps many ages to succeed excellence, and he has published many books, one called Embracing Your Potential. So next is research role. So research role can sometimes take after a game or a match. This will help with reliability because it'll be fresh in the mind and they will definitely know what's just occurred. And to ensure that the psychologist can get the correct information to improve the performance and their skills of the athletes who just played in the game. They have the responsibility to help build on the field of study, therefore they have to keep up to date on new theories, and then with the new theories which come out, they have to apply it to the athletes itself to obviously find out if it does help improve their sporting performance. They cannot just use these theories, they have to undertake experiments and interviews which will help get feedback and information from the athletes of how they're doing in all of the process and training in their own life and everything like that. They can also use a journal to keep their findings, which help compare how the athletes perform and have improved, or if they haven't. So the journal normally belongs to maybe the psychologist to write it all down, but one of the experiments can be that the athlete can have a journal to help obviously then see how their thought process is. Sports an example for this is allowing the interview and other ways to finding out information about the athlete will help ways to improve their performance. So when Jessica Ennis-Hill was coming back into the Olympics, her coach used imagery to push her to success. So without the research role here, he wouldn't have been able to use the correct theory skills to help Jessica. So next, the education role is the education role of a psychologist has progressed over the years to improve the standard of education to people and education itself, and then it's helped to improve theories within psychology. Many psychologists will be found teaching sports-specific courses in university, whereas some people will be teaching general psychology, such as in school and in colleges. Therefore, they will have the knowledge of theories for many sports and the outcome it will have on different sports. One of the theories which has been taught in colleges is the whole drive theory. It can be generalized psychology, the actual theory itself, but you can look into a certain sports and how it applies to it, and how it's basically the increase or decrease of arousal and what it will do to the performer's performance. Such as if you're playing darts and you get too over-aroused, this will increase with breathing rate. With this increase, it will make your hands move more, possibly your hands will start to sweat and shake, therefore the performance will drop because of these factors. So next, the consultancy role. So this role is when the psychologist will work with the athlete and help improve their performance by improving certain skills and techniques which link to their sports, such as netball. A sports psychologist can be set to one team. You will find this in elite levels of sports. They can have more than one, obviously, psychologist, but you normally just find one, but you won't see them working for the opposition. So say if you go for a game, that psychologist will stick to the same team. The psychologist will be working alongside the coaches as well, giving them information on what they think about the team and helping them improve the coach's next training session so it can relate to the players and improve their performance specifically. So an example is in a football training session, the psychologist is watching and picking out certain players which is lacking with their cardiovascular system. So he would stand on the side of the training session, and then they would go back to the research part of the process and find out their cardio side was at a good standard. Therefore, the psychologist might have to get that person in and find out what's happening. Maybe it might be mentally or physical. So then with this information, they'll start to improve it. But it wouldn't happen if he wasn't there standing on the side and helping with the coaches, and it won't improve itself if he wasn't there. So if he doesn't improve, it means that the player won't be able to keep up with the game because his cardiovascular system is down, and he might miss tackles, which can obviously lead to a goal and all of this, and then they can win the opposition. So performance enhancement is part of the psychologist's role when they go into consultancy. So the psychologist will help the athlete perform and help them prepare for their performance in the future. They will help them to get ready, so when they go into situations they won't be surprised of what's going to happen, and this will obviously help them not react badly to the situation. They will also help them cope with the demands in training. Therefore, if trainings get too hard, they'll be able to give them some guidance of how to get through it and keep their performance improving. Example of this can be shown if an athlete was playing at home. There's factors which can improve their performance, such as knowing the layout of the track and running, and that when, say, if it's 800 meters, the advantage of this, if they know that, so there's a bit of a bump in one of the lanes, so try and stay out that lane. But the negative of this is that they might not be able to deal with the pressure of the home crowd cheering them on. Therefore, the pressure will obviously make the performance decrease because it's just too overwhelming, too much pressure. So the performance, how the lifestyle can affect the performer. So the actions an athlete makes during the day will obviously affect their outcome. The best outcomes should be in the competitions, but their lifestyle can get in the way, such if there's something happening in their life, it can mean that their mind is on something else, not the competition. The outcome of this could be messed up, leading them to do poorly. Due to this, it could play on their minds and put them back of maybe performing again or struggling to actually get back into the sports again just because of that little hiccup in their performance. Therefore, the role of the psychologist is to help organise their life between things like their training, work, travelling, eating, sleeping and relaxing. So the psychologist will assist them to cope within both competitive and non-competitive situations. And if they can't, their performance will be affected badly if they didn't have this guidance, because it can be quite a lot for an athlete to manage everything what's happening in their lives. So an example is an athlete was struggling to sleep at night due to being nervous for an upcoming competition. The psychologist will find a way of improving his or her sleep to then make their training sessions improve, because they are less fatigued and tired just because of the lack of sleep they were having. So group dynamics. So the function of a team is summed up of its individual members. This is a statement I just got off another PowerPoint. So this is basically saying if one member is having a bad if they're having a bad day, then it will show within the whole team, because if a member is striving to win, this will make them the rest of the team more motivated to win themselves. But obviously, if a team member is literally feeling ill and can't run fast, everybody will be lacking behind to pick up for them. They will develop a common goals, such as winning a tournament, and they will also develop a group identity, which is they'll all wear the same clothes. So this will show that they are a team and they can work together. But the role of the psychologist comes into this situation due to needing to analyse the team with both positive and negative behaviours in the team. There are two leaders which can occur there. There is one which is called an emerging leader. This is the natural leader. The other one is a prescribed leader. This is when a job is offered to a leader and they take it. So more of the team are known to be more respectful and positive to the emerging leader. So the next is sports dealing with injury. So psychologist's role is when an individual is dealing with a previous injury is offered for counselling to help improve their lack of confidence to do fitness again. In this session, they will use the information they have gathered, put it towards skills and techniques to improve their performance as a whole. They will make realistic goals for them so they don't overdo it, and obviously when going back into fitness they won't obviously then make that damage, the broken bone or whatever happened, the injury even worse, and to put them in gradually, because like we said earlier, the confidence will be lacking. So such as if a person has dealt with a serious injury, it will cause depression and anxiety. So depression is probably caused due to not doing fitness anymore because they're still recovering. Going for something they love and were good at will cause obviously these emotions to surface, making them feel useless in a way, just not being able to, maybe if they had a broken leg, to stand up and make themselves a cup of tea or something like that, and that would make some people really upset. So this is where depression can come from. And when they come back out the next time, their performance will be really different, and this can obviously cause anxiety because they're thinking about what happened before, and it will cause their performance to decrease because they're just constantly thinking about it. So coach education is a coach is there to help improve team performance. Psychologists will do this by speaking to the coach about how different players will be motivated to perform better and how they react and intake feedback, because one player might not be able to handle feedback and this can decrease their performance, but other players might improve with their performance if they have good feedback, because they can set themselves some goals and obviously achieve them. The psychologists can also help support and help the coaches themselves, because they can also go through stressful times and emotional times. Therefore, the psychologists can help with their problems and overcome them. So an example is when a certain player gets negative feedback in half time, this can then affect them when going back out on the field or track. The outcome of this is their performance will be decreased because they're not thinking about the game, they're only thinking about the bad things, and not the positive things they've been doing through the game. So this might mean they miss an important catch or tackle. So lastly, how sports psychologists can improve sporting performance. So they can improve the performance of an athlete by helping them get into the correct mindset for a game or even training. Therefore, this will allow them to perform to the best of their ability. And sports psychologists can help an athlete to understand what techniques are best to ensure them that they can reach their full potential, such as Jessica Ennis-Hill. When she was coming back after a baby, her coach obviously found the right technique, which was imagery, and obviously she pursued her goal and she did very well in the competition.